Hello, I'm Dr. David Clark. Today we're going to talk about the new spot weld technique and the new push-pull instrument by Bioclear. This process is built around the BioFit posterior system for modern Class II composites. In the past, we would burnish a metal matrix. Burnishing is so 1970. We got to get away from burnishing. Now, in the past, we burnished for a couple of reasons. Number one was to give the matrix a better shape, to create a broader contact in the composite. Well, with BioFit, we have all the shape that we need because of this aggressive emergence profile and a fully anatomic shape. It's not really a sectional matrix, it's an anatomic tooth form. So we don't need to burnish to get a great shape. We've got that, okay? The second reason we used to burnish was to stretch the matrix over whenever it didn't lay against the neighboring tooth. Now that was very common for deep caries or small diastemas. So instead of burnishing for problem number two, we're going to use the spot weld technique and the new push-pull instrument. All right, let's do it. Once the separator is on, we expand and appose the matrix. Now we can do that with either the micro pliers that come with the system. So we're going to go ahead and attempt to pull the matrix over once the separator is in place. You're going to notice back here on this distal, we've got a pretty good gap. And so we would expand and appose the matrix. We broaden the contact buccolingually and appose it or push it over. But here's the problem. Look at this. It's not staying put. And anytime we see that, we're going to go right to the spot weld technique. Now, for those of you using BioFit for the first time, I recommend you go ahead and use the spot weld technique for every tooth. And in fact, if you want to have 100% certainty of a great contact, you could use the spot weld technique for every case. It's going to cost you 20 seconds. That's it. So I'm beginning to use this on pretty much every case. So what we would do is what we normally do, which is to etch, rinse, and dry. So we would put the etch in, rinse, and dry. And then, Kristen, if you can give me a hand, we're going to go ahead and seal the dent and tubules and massage the Scotch-Bond Universal into the dent and tubules for a full 20 seconds. So I'm going to put my filter on, and my Rockstar dental assistant, Kristen, hands me the adhesive. So I'm going to massage the Scotch-Bond Universal into the dent and tubules for a full 20 seconds. Let's pretend that's been 20 seconds. Then we'll just dab a little bit of adhesive up here by the corners of the matrix. All right. Once we've massaged the adhesive into the dent tubules for a full 20 seconds, we're going to go ahead and air thin. And we want to air thin until the adhesive stops moving. We're going to go ahead and before we Bioclear, we're going to go in and do the spot weld technique. Now I'm going to take Filtech Bookfill Flowable and put it over and outside and then inside the corner of the matrix. Give yourself a decent quantity of flowable composite, or if you're in Canada or the rest of the world, composite. All right, now we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other corner. Lots of flowable on the outside over and inside the matrix. Make sure you have enough volume there to account for when the matrix moves. So that's our spot weld. And so now we're going to go ahead and take our push-pull instrument, and because this is a mesial, we're going to pull. So I'm going to pull the matrix over, and that not only apposes the matrix, but because this is a two-part instrument, it's going to expand the matrix buccolingually. Let's take another look at that. So I have not Biocleared yet, and pull the matrix over and get a very broad contact, and then we're going to Bioclear. So let's show it from the top again, and pull the matrix over. You want to use 2 or 3 pounds of pressure, and you can change the direction of this to broaden the contact. And now Kristen's going to go ahead and Bioclear the matrix. And just a quick spot weld, okay? And come away. And now our matrix is right where it needs to be. It's not going to move. We've welded it in place. We've got a nice little resistance form for injection molding. So that is the spot weld technique. Now let's do it one more time. Let me get the filter off. Let's take a good look at it. So now we have about 7 total pounds of pressure, about 5 from the twin ring. We've got a couple of pounds from the diamond wedge and even more pressure by pulling the matrix over. And it's very stiff now. It's a very nice aquarium to injection mold into. So that's when we use the push-pull instrument on a mesial to pull. Now let's do one on the distal. Let's do it again. Let's take a look over here. This matrix is not playing ball. This matrix is not playing ball for us. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's take our Scotch-Bond Universal and we're going to massage it into the dent and tubules for a full 20 seconds. And this is actually how I would do this technique. I would do the distal first, remove the separator and the matrix, and then do the mesial. So we massage it into the dent and tubules for a full 20 seconds. Let's pretend that's 20 seconds. Air thin and cure. And I didn't get any adhesive over here in the buckle. That's actually okay because the Bioclear flowable, the Filtech Bioclear flowable will wet etched enamel. So once again, we're going to do the spot weld. We put a little bit of flowable composite on the outside of the matrix, over and on the inside. You want to go right on the corner, right on the corner. And then we'll come over here, outside, over, and inside. Literally takes 20 seconds. Now in this case, it's a distal, so we're going to use it in a pushing motion. So I'm going to push the matrix over. I want you to watch how beautifully the matrix adapts. Let's bump the magnification up. I'm going to push the matrix over, and you see how that really forms a perfect shape. Now let's go ahead and cure. I'm putting lots of pressure here. Okay, a couple of rules. Number one, you have to have your dental assistant do the light curing. You cannot do this. You don't have 6 hands. You need a hand to stabilize and a hand to push. I want you to look at how broad that contact is. And the beautiful thing about this push-pull instrument, it's polished, so it's not going to scar and put a dimple in the matrix, because the dimple in the matrix becomes a pimple in the composite. So now we're ready for injection molding. So one of the things that we built was the go, no go probe to make sure that we have an adequate depth for bulk fill. So this yellow line is right at the marginal ridge of the neighboring teeth. So this in the class 2 area is a go. If it was in the red, if it was deeper in the red, then it would be a no-go. So we're a go here. We're certainly a go here on the occlusal, which is the green zone. So now we can injection mold with a single increment. So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing we're going to do is to get the adhesive on a bender brush. At this point we want a large volume of adhesive as a wetting agent. Now we've already cured the adhesive over the dent and tubule, so now we can go ahead and cure everything simultaneously. There's no need to cure the adhesive separately with the enamel. The research is quite clear on that. We do want to cure the dentin separately, but the enamel does not need to have the adhesive cured independently. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and inject the Bioclear flowable. Okay, so I'm going to start here on the buckle. We're going to inject into that infinity edge there, along the gingival. You want to inject slowly with your heated Bioclear flowable. Now you want to push it to the line angle before you push in the paste. So I'm pushing the flowable. You can see it going out to the line angle, pushing all the bubbles out. Okay, and now we're going to come in with the Filtech 1. I'll bump the magnification back a little bit. You've got about 20 seconds to push in the composite when it comes out of the heater. It's been more than 20 seconds. If you're sort of dilly-dallying, grab the other syringe so you can push the Filtech 1 into the flowable and then pinch it against the tooth. Now let me have the patty cake instrument, please. We want to put a semblance of anatomy in here for depth of cure and also to minimize finishing time. And this also helps for mitigating C factor. We want a nice central groove down the material. White, please. And remember, we're not manipulating the material. We're simply troweling. That's Dr. Kim's favorite word. We're troweling the composite, always pulling the composite toward the tooth. Always pulling the composite toward the tooth and getting it within about 1 millimeter of what we call grade. We want about 1 millimeter of composite near grade. You want to leave a little bit of excess at the tooth restoration interface because we try to do a little bit of additive dentistry whenever we can. So we're about ready to go, and that's more than enough massaging of the composite. Let's go ahead and light cure. So we're going to cure for a full 10 seconds on the occlusal, and then we'll go ahead and remove the twin ring. And then we're going to do buccal lingual curing. So once again, the light on the buccal for 10 seconds. Let's imagine that was 10 seconds, and then we'll do like curing on the lingual. You want to do this before the wedge comes out because otherwise you'll get lots of bleeding. Go ahead and, that's good. Now, what we would normally do next is to remove the diamond wedge, like so, and then we would grab the matrix on the quick release right here. We'll pull the matrix away, like so, and like so. Hemostat, please. So there's a little micro hemostat in the kit. We'll just spin that out. We've got a beautiful broad contact. We've got a beautiful broad monolithic contact. Now all we have to do is take a SoftFlex XT disc. So then what we would do next is we would restore the mesial, and you just saw the whole apparatus move distally. Now we're going to get a very tight contact. So now we would restore the mesial. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the finishing process of injection molding. All right, so first thing, in a case like this where I don't have too much excess, we do have to remove those little buttons that we put on here, and we do want to blend our infinity edge. All right, the next thing we're going to do is to do the rapid sculpting and then the 3-step Rockstar polish. Let's go. So we want to bring the disc, and Dr. Kim talks about this, we want to bring the disc on the lingual and the buckle first to marry our infinity edge to our intentional excess. So we're going to bring the disc in like so, and we're also removing those little tabs that we use for the spot weld. Now those tabs become part of the complex if we need them to, or we can just polish them away. So it can either be part of the restoration or it can be polished away. So that's where we bring the disc in when it's its stiffest and most aggressive coarseness on the facial lingual. Go ahead and blow air. Now the disc was in the inverted position. I'm going to put it in the regular position here, kind of get a feel for that. And our job here is simply to remove the sprue or the umbilical cord that comes with the injection molding. So we're going to come in here like so. So marry the shape of the umbilical cord to the actual grade of the restoration. So now we're about ready to go. So that's step one of the Rockstar polish is actually the SoftFlex XT disc. So blow some air there for me, Kristen. And we want to make sure that the marginal ridges line up. All right, that will do it. Let's take a look here under some high magnification. So that's a beautiful shape. Check the buckle. And the marginal ridge height is good. Let's go ahead and go to step 2 of the Rockstar polish, which is the magic mix. Now before we do that, let me have a brownie, and we'll do a little bit of sculpting of some primary anatomy. So let's go ahead and put in some primary anatomy here with a wet brownie. Now adenoform, the tooth's is so soft it polishes away unlike a natural tooth. So we'll end up flattening the anatomy of this deniform tooth a little bit because it's such soft plastic. So let's go ahead and do this, and I typically do this wet. So we'll put in just some gentle anatomy here. So step 2 of the Rockstar polish, after we use the worn out SoftFlex XT disc, is the magic mix. So you want to put a fair amount out into the dappen dish, and then I'm going to grab a big glob of it, and I'm going to plop it onto the tooth, like so. And so if you want a large volume, you could even put some over here on the neighboring tooth or on the vestibule. So now I have lots of magic mix. We want to use this fairly slow speed. And the beautiful thing about the magic mix is it's very gentle to enamel, but very aggressive to composite. So we're able to flange this interproximally. We're able to flange these little chunks of aluminum oxide subgingivally in a way you can't with a normal polisher. The polishers, a lot of the polishers that they give me to evaluate, they're the wrong shape. And we need a concave polisher for convex teeth. So I'm going to grab the magic mix and bring it in here, and that is all you're going to need. Just grab some fresh magic mix. So now we need to go ahead and rinse very carefully to remove every last little bit of the magic mix. So now we're going to move to the 3rd step of the Rockstar polish, which is a diamond impregnated rubber cup. We're going to use that at heavy pressure, moving it slowly, like the Zamboni at the hockey game, and constant stream of air water together to keep the tooth cool. We don't want to burn the composite. Okay, ready? Let's go. So that is the Infinity Edge, monolithic composite, Rockstar polish. Go ahead and get this tooth nice and dry. Let's take a look at that emergence profile. What we're after is that beautiful class 2 embrasure. We feel that one of the #1 reasons we have so many problems in restorative dentistry is poor contacts. Poor emergence profile, poor occlusal embrasures, poor shape, weak composite from over manipulation. I mean, this brings it all together. You know what? I still get goosebumps whenever I do this or whenever we teach this. I've been working on this process for 25 years, and man, today it's fun. It's predictable. Go for it. Enjoy it.